Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
The following podcast is brought to you exclusively by the Rad Rob Radio Network.
This is PBA champion Kyle Troop, and you're listening to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. As you know, JP Jr. used to be introduced as the sexiest man in bowling, and now the world. But he doesn't have the best hair in the world. I do. Sorry, bud, but you know the deal. Pick it out. Fear the fro, baby.
Welcome to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. A hard-hitting, in-depth, cutting-edge look into the world of bowling. This podcast will not only cover all things bowling, but will also give you a raw look into real-life issues. You'll get unfettered access into the mind of one of the most gifted bowlers of this or any other generation. So without further ado, let's introduce you to the hosts of the show. Rad Rob, Rob Francois. Rad Rob, Rob Francois. Dr. Ocho. Dr. Ocho. And the incomparable Johnny Petraglia Jr. Johnny Petraglia Jr.
Hey guys, welcome back to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. I'm your host, Rad Rob. Rob Francois, joined by the one and only Dr. Ocho. Oh no, it is Ocho. Hey Ocho.
That you're doing this already? Jesus,
Yeah.
I usually have about a good 8 minutes before you actually bring me in with your there we go. Bears in already. And are we
Well, I mean, you always complain that I further ado way too much.
You have been doing too much, which I mean, at least give me the heads up. Like, we're a professional podcast here. We're worldwide known amongst the tens and tens of people that you should let me know when we pregame, because we prepare a lot for this show. And you didn't give me the Iggy.
Do we prepare a lot though? I mean, like, do we
A lot.
Do we really?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I don't know what you guys are doing, sitting on your fat asses eating bonbons, watching Oprah all day, but
Are bonbons a thing anymore? Like,
I don't know. It's just an old saying that old Pop used to say, and I'm going to keep it alive. Why don't you get the show going, Rob? We got another guest here. Not a guest, a host. What the hell?
You're making me ado more than I wanted to.
Don't ado. You better don't.
I don't like to ado anything, honestly. I don't even know why I'm here.
You should have don't it.
Joining us is the third man, the man with a name on a marquee. He is the one and only sexiest man in the world, Johnny Petraglia Jr. Good evening, Jonathan.
Good to see you guys as always. I'm just enjoying some bonbons over here, and Oprah just ended. So
He wins.
thank you very much.
Can you don't something? If you can do it, you can do not it.
Yeah, why do they say without further ado?
I used to think it was without further dudes.
I mean, there's only 3 dudes here.
Without further dudes. Okay, it's just the 3 of us. That means no guest today.
No guest.
Wait, speaking of which, we need to get some guests there, Johnny boy.
What are you putting the heat on him for? Who's the
Well, he's the host.
like
He's the owner. He's the not the owner.
You own it?
He's the man.
Well, we're going to snag either Parker or Jacob Buttriff in here.
This is live, man. Don't say that if you can't hold it.
I'm saying it because I know it to be factual.
We got cheats in the hizzy.
By the way, shout out to Ben Austin.
Why can't I see any of these people? Why can't I see the comments?
Are you in full screen again?
How the hell do you see them?
I got them on my computer. I'm looking at them right now.
I miss Cheek saying hi.
No, she just gave the kissy thing to me, probably not to you.
Shit.
There you go. Is that cool?
I don't know.
Maybe it was
for
to
Ocho,
you.
probably not. What's up, Dan? Dan was.
I know Bear's here for me.
It.
Shout out to Ben Austin, who sent me a nice message on Instagram and said that all 3 of us run a great podcast. It's his all-time favorite. So thank you.
You have Instagram?
Oh, yeah. Thank you very, very much. That's awesome. Hey, sis.
I do have Instagram. It's
you know how to surf the gram?
I do. Hello, Valerie. Hello, Stephanie. Whoop. Stephanie.
Yes.
Hello, Valerie.
Lovely,
Hello.
lovely.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Roland Fernandez says, look at those delicious guns.
Yes, the
Appreciate
Ocho.
it. Yeah. This one and this one. All right. What are we doing? What are we talking about tonight?
A show, man. There was a crazy tournament that just happened. Lots of freaking wacky, not even wacky. Just it was unfettered. Rob, take it away.
Parker Bone III almost made the TV final. Shout out to PB3, friend of the show. Bowled tremendously. He was on the hold on. Ocho.
I have to say hi. I have to say hi to somebody because it's her first time here.
Taryn.
Hello, Taryn.
Taryn and I sat next to each other in homeroom in high school. And she's one of the best people ever. 20 years later, it's good to see you, babe. So happy you're here. All right,
Larry Legend.
I am too, Taryn.
Larry Legend's in the house. I don't think he's been here either before. Good evening, Larry.
Oh my God!
I never got a chance to meet.
What happened?
Larry.
It's Wednesday, right? Where are all these Hall of Famers coming from? This is awesome.
Larry, I don't think I ever got a chance to meet you, but my home bowling alley was Bradley Bowl. I was good friends with your son, so I haven't seen Mikey in quite a while since I moved to Tennessee. But welcome to the show.
That is Larry from the Truck and a bunch of other places.
Isn't that a song? I'm still Larry from the Truck.
Speaking of somebody we need to get on this as a guest, which would be the most informative and most awesome show ever. It's that guy right there.
Where are you pointing to?
Just
my screen just went black.
Yeah, you're froze.
Damn it.
We can hear you though.
Always seems to happen.
I'll be back.
Damn it, Jim. I'm a doctor.
Hello, Art. What's going on? Welcome everybody to the show. It's we got new faces.
We're starting to get fettered around a little bit, man. People are.
We are. You're welcome, Lich.
When you said Larry Legend, I thought he was talking about Larry Bird. So, because Larry
Bird is not a bowling fan. Yeah, no, he's
Tom Candiotti is.
No, that's true. No, you're right about that. I heard Spurgeon Wynn was actually a fan of our show. Hello, Johnny.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know either.
You've saved the day, though. You fixed it. That's persevering.
Anyway, back to PB3.
Flat. Yes, PB3.
How cool is it to actually, like, I know you guys don't have kids. Well, Ocho has a kid, but she's not old enough yet. But can you imagine
it's not.
Can you imagine just being how cool it is to bowl with your kid in the freaking USBC Masters? I mean, that's just I don't know if it was luck of the draw or they planned it that way or what.
So you saw the thing they did because they did a really cool vlog about it. How they all had the same, what is it called? The draw, squad. I guess. Like you said, squad. There you go.
Yeah, they were all in the same squad, and Justin and Parker were paired up on the same pair. So they actually got to bowl all 15 games together, which
that's pretty wild.
That's got to be so cool, man. That's just got to be the greatest feeling in the world, especially, obviously for Justin, but definitely 100% for Parker. That has to be just probably one of the biggest highlights, if not the biggest highlight of his career.
Agreed.
Seriously, because they don't have to bowl, they don't have to do anything but he's paying it forward, and sure enough, they're not only they're great at it too. Like, it's talk about following the footsteps.
Like, yeah. I want to send a shout out to JD Santa Lucia. I just found out he is entering the PTQ at the Players Championship at Bolero Carolier coming up in May. So,
fantastic!
Todd. So I've got to wish best of luck to my homie there. But yeah, back to Parker. Obviously I think everybody on the planet wanted to see Parker make the show. And I think for anybody that watched the Masters throughout the tournament, I think that they really, really wanted to see Brandon Bone because he made it pretty far in the contenders bracket. Can't say losers bracket anymore. But
is that a thing, really?
Yeah, they changed the name of the losers bracket to the contenders bracket.
That wouldn't play well on TV since they were televising for the first time if it was the loser bracket.
But that's kind of
just like the way the world is now. Apparently, calling something what it is wrong. So
I kind of get it, but it's
should just call it the guys who didn't win bracket.
Person who lost bracket, because you're not a loser. We get that, but
right.
Or consolation bracket, maybe.
Consolation bracket. I like that, actually.
Yeah.
Because at least, anyway, all right. We're unfettered today.
Yeah. But aside from the performances of the entire Bone family, nice. I personally took a lot of pleasure in watching Brandon. I can't believe I'm strong, and when I was
he the
younger,
lefty?
Yeah, I'm strong, and when I was younger, I could do a lot of things to a bowling ball, and trick it out, and like hook the whole lane and all that shit.
Yeah, you could.
But that kid, man, he just absolutely. Thanks, Taryn.
We don't have to read that comment.
No, that was for her. That's actually where that whole pointing at nothing started.
Gotcha.
Sorry, I'm reliving all my high school memories.
You're doing homeroom stuff. Wait till she meets Dr. Ocho, who never graduated high school.
That's right. Good man. But he is. God, he gets the ball down there in a hurry, and I don't care what anybody says. You can compare Jesper, you can compare Buttriff, whoever the hell you want to talk, Belmo. Nobody makes pins dance the way Brandon Bone does.
It looks like the ball literally explodes off his hand because it looks like it's not even on his hand at the top of his backswing. He's so uncupped, which I think is the opposite of cupped, like unfettered is fettered, right? And it looks like there's separation from his fingers to the bowling ball, like as if it's falling off his hand. And then he yo-yos the damn thing. It looks like he's using a freaking Duncan butterfly yo-yo.
I couldn't have explained it any better. It's exactly what it looks like to me too. It's absolutely incredible what he does.
That should be a slow motion thing on like how it's done or something like that. Pardon my voice, everybody. I'm just
it sounds great. I'm
just like wicked awesome tonight.
Excellent. And as far as Parker, 59-year-old PBA legend, I mean, what was he? Just watching him in that last match, I feel for Russ Oviatt because I've watched Russ grow up over the last decade. I had the pleasure of meeting him once I moved out to the West Coast. But watching Russ struggle, it was like, and then Parker, but both of them struggling in that match. I felt for Russ, but just to watch Parker make the show was undoubtedly like, with his whole family there. I mean, it couldn't have happened to a better person. And like you said, he made it to television at the Masters at 59 years old. I mean, what else can you say? Nothing about his game, his figure, anything about him has changed in 30 years. He's just, doesn't have as much knee bend as he had when he was 20.
He had to go through all the different stages where he used to be the guy that was technically hooking it out of the house, in the 80s and 90s, and now he's the guy that doesn't get it. I don't want to say can't. He doesn't have the revs that these guys do now, but
he's straight up
still hit the pocket. You still have enough on it. It's angle entry's the same. The pins are still the same weight, and he still knows how to get it there. So,
I thought he bowled well. Unfortunately, he didn't win. But I mean, I thought he was lined up early. I don't know what happened towards the middle of the match, but I mean, I thought he was throwing the ball really well, Johnny.
Well, I'll tell you what happened. And by the way, when I was pointing just now, did you read Taryn's comment?
Yeah.
Look what she just wrote. So I don't think she caught on that I was doing the exact same thing. I still have that picture from when we were at
you really do point at nothing. You're literally pointing at nothing.
We all took a limo to prom together. We all met at my house, and we were in the yard by my pool, and she just said, "Point at nothing," and she just made this really, really stupid face. And to this day, if you go through all the history of my photos from high school to now, I always have at least one picture where I'm doing something with one of my friends and making them all look at absolutely nothing. Anybody that's a friend of mine probably has that exact photo, and it all started with her. That's so great. See, I'll find it. I'll ask. I'm pretty sure it's in one of the photo albums at Mom and Dad's house back in Jersey. So when I find it, I'll send it to you.
I'll get over there soon, and we'll post it up here on Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia.
Stephanie says, I always wonder where that came from.
Now you know. That's where it came from.
That's hard to explain without this Taryn chick being here either. You're not just going to come out and say that, because then you're on a road to nowhere. So it makes sense that she showed up, you did the point, and now the explanation is here. Full circle.
That's what you get on this show. That's exactly what you get on this show.
Talk about unfettered.
But getting back to Parker, what happened to him later on in the match, Johnny?
If you guys noticed, first off, I think the pattern was 43 feet in length, and this is where it comes down to, I think that rev rate really got him in trouble. Compared to Michael Martell, who's got a much higher rev rate than Parker and a little bit softer ball speed, there was nothing to break down on the left side of the lane. There was, You could literally, if the ball was not completely, we're in and out on sound. Is everything okay?
You guys
I hear everything. Anyone else have that problem?
If anybody else has a problem with the sound, let us know.
To type 1 in the chat if you have that, and a type 2 if we're wicked awesome.
And type 3 if Dave just got shitty internet.
All right.
You know what you're saying that, and I remember he crossed over, so it kind of, to me, it looked like he was headhunting a little bit, like he had to be so particular on his shot.
There was nothing on the outside. It was completely bone dry. All the oil was, from 10 on.
No, it started at about 5.
5 on.
If you got it outside too quick, it would
dart over.
It could hook Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But the biggest problem of it is that he had to be so precise in his laydown point. If you look at where they're showing you the lane graph, if he literally missed by a quarter of an inch at the dots, the ball was offline at the pins. So, and the ball never ever attempted to make a turn when he got it going up.
I noticed that it never rolled through the pins. If anything, it was trying to, but it just kept on that same path. So he kind of had to apply the angle, I guess, to it. Really,
exactly. And because there was no other righties there to create any kind of friction whatsoever, and he's in the first match. He was kind of done before the match started, simply because his ball reaction was completely inferior to his opponents. And that's nothing against Parker. Sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. But you can't outbowl bad ball reaction, and Parker had no ball reaction on that TV show. They didn't have that great of a ball reaction all week, but some guys figured out a way to stay close and win some matches. But on the TV show, no, there was. It's unfortunate, but you could tell right off the bat. And Martel, in his defense, first off, congratulations to him for making his first show. He's been knocking on the door for quite some time, and he definitely dedicates a lot of time to this game, and it's well deserved.
And you mentioned a few weeks ago that he was, on the cusp.
Yeah. And like I said, there'll be at least one guy that makes the TV show that, aside from the immediate bowling world, nobody knows. And case in point, there it was. And we also had Patrick Dombrowski, who, again, is, he's made some TV before, but again, there's always people that are not the big guns that make a show at the Masters. But Martel, throwing that Rotogrip TNT, was at least able to get it to tip and catch a little bit down lane, just because his rev rate is significantly higher than Parker's, and he's way more around it at the bottom.
He looked like he was starting the ball. Hopefully I'm getting this right. He was starting it early, like laying it down early with his hand behind it, so it wouldn't track, or like it would almost initiate that forward roll so it would already do what the ball's supposed to do, rather than the slide part, then roll, then break, because to combat the amount of oil. Am I saying that kind of right?
Instead of having the true skid, hook, and roll phases, he was kind of just playing the hook and roll phase. He was trying to eliminate the skid portion of it, whereas Parker's ball was skidding for the entire show. So yes, I completely understand what you're saying. And yes, that is right.
Even with my voice.
Chris Watkins, what's up, man? He says, speaking of getting older and not hooking it as much when we were younger, I noticed some of the guys on tour have dropped ball weight recently. Any opinions or advice on dropping ball weight as we age or our bodies break down? Thanks, guys.
Well, you can't spot reduce when you diet, so your balls are always going to be the same weight. But you can obviously shrink your physique down by taking caloric intake down.
But don't your balls hang longer anyway once you get older? Doesn't
matter. They're still the same weight. What are you guys talking about? Go ahead.
I'm not sure.
I'm doing a good job on this. You got to have this. And now go ahead, JP.
All right, then. This is a great question. Number one, two notables as far as for those of you who don't know who's gone to 14 pounds. Bill O'Neill is now throwing 14 pounds, but gave up on it. He was throwing 14 and he just went back to 15. Obviously, we haven't seen much of Bill O'Neill on TV this year. So, he's struggling. He's around 40 years old now, so he's definitely going through the transition as well. Another notable one who we did see recently on television is Tom Smallwood throwing 14 pounds. And then now, Chris, to answer your question, both of those guys are, Bill's probably 40 and Smalls is late 40s. So I will tell you, nowadays with the strength of these bowling balls, if 14 is fine. You're not going to.
Is it really? I'm asking for real because this is
because I want new equipment if that's the case. Like
you're not going to. You still may technically lose a hit here and there, like a Wally or a Swisher 7 that might stand up, or you might leave an extra flat 10 over the span of 2 or 3 games, but it's not going to alter your game to a point that like you're significantally dropping your average or anything along those lines. So, thank you.
Well,
Kyle.
I mean, it could raise your average too because it could make you more accurate. Also, that's the other thing. A pound is a big difference. So maybe you're more accurate in the pocket, and instead of tugging every once in a while,
I've been throwing more on since I was like 13 years old. It's just natural to me. Like
I understand that too. It was the hardest thing in the world for me to go from 16 to 15. Mm-hmm. But to finish what Chris is saying here, and there's Tom Doherty also. He's another guy throwing 14 pounds.
Okay.
I had no idea.
Now, let me tell you all something right now. I was actually considering, I have 2 14-pound balls in my garage right now, blank, ready to be drilled. I want to experiment with 14A because I already throw pins everywhere. So, I mean, my ball hits the pins really, really hard, right? My biggest problem, and I always have spoken about when it comes to bowling, is I am rev dominant. My revs are exceedingly high for my average ball speed, which is between 16.5 and 17 miles an hour. But I can't throw it harder than 17 miles an hour because I don't use my thumb. So even if because what happens is I kind of have that shot put type motion. So if I try and overthrow it, and I actually have to take my legs out of the shot to throw it harder because I don't have that long extension through the peak of the swing, similar to Tom Doherty. So I'm personally considering now trying 14 also to see if I can throw it 18.5 to 19 miles an hour. Because if I can add 2 miles an hour to my basic standard ball speed, that means I don't have to stand against the ball return on house shots. That means I have way more freedom in ball selection and drillings and all this other shit. So for me, it opens up my arsenal a lot more while also not taking as big of a toll on the physical part of the body. There's another one, Wes Malott. So
I had no idea that anybody threw anything under 15. Holy jeez.
It wasn't. This is relatively new.
I had no. I mean, even what is it? A year or two? These guys been doing it. Maybe I would have known. I wouldn't have any idea. Regardless, they don't ever talk about ball weight on the TV shows. Really, like
sometimes.
it's just
not unless it's a significant change. Like like Bill O'Neill's throwing 14 pounds. What does that even mean? Why?
Well, and people still throw 16. I assume, right? I know not many, but like
it's rare.
It is okay. That is rare.
Yeah, then let me ask you this, Johnny. Since I don't have a lot of revs, would that hurt me?
I've never seen you bowl.
True.
So I can't actually tell you what I think you should do. Everybody has their own personal reasons for choosing what weight they choose. When I threw 16 because when my thumb is in the ball, I throw it so fucking hard I can't. I needed the extra weight so I wouldn't throw it 22 miles an hour and throw it through the break point on virtually everything I bowled on.
That's pretty much where I'm at.
Mm-hmm. I experimented when I started bowling thumbless like 15, 20 years ago. I experimented and started with 13s and 14s, but I never committed to throwing 14 pounds full time.
Was that just the mechanics, basically? You're trying to like get the motion and everything to learn the muscle memory, or?
Yeah, and it was also for building the longevity because I had to decide at that moment, is this going to be good for longevity purposes? Is my forearm going to hold up? Am I going to be consistent in the way I carry it in my backswing when I'm resting it on my palm?
And now remember, you did this. You just told us this, that you did this because your thumb would just hurt. It was a pure like a relief thing. It wasn't someone said, "Oh, you know what you should do mechanically." So yeah, I mean that's like you were almost forced into it, and then having to figure out, well, shit, what else could go wrong if I have this Ultra Cup? Yeah, hell yeah.
That's higher than Rob's high game take.
It is.
Sorry.
And he uses 16.
Yeah,
and bumpers.
I mean, I might experiment with that, Johnny, if I can. Hell, maybe I can.
Rob, you bowl? Like you keep saying you've been bowling for 30 years. Have you bowled even in the last 2 years besides the one time?
He was at the bowling alley the other day.
Yeah.
Weren't you?
Yeah, I was.
He sent us
doing
pictures.
What? Getting a slushie?
He said like one pair of lanes cost him $786 for an hour.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, but the show paid for it.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Hypothetically speaking, could I learn to throw no thumb since the ball is lighter? Because I mean, I couldn't do it with a 16-pound ball. I just couldn't cup my wrists and keep it. cock.
Yeah, it's throwing a ball with no thumb is just as hard as anything else. And just like anything else, if you practice it and get used to it, I could never, even though I'm thumbless, I don't throw it anything like Tom Doherty.
Right.
I would like to, but I don't. But he carries it way shorter in the backswing than I do. He's way lower at the foul line than I am at release point. There's other guys that, they use two hands with the thumb in. They use two hands with the thumb out. I mean, nowadays you can pretty much do whatever you want to do and whatever you have to do to be successful. And that's what I think is really what it's gotten to. And if you feel like my biggest fear of dropping weight was always the fact that it's the same as taking a bat weight off of a bat when you've been swinging in the on-deck circle.
That's where I was going. If
you're in the on-deck circle, you have a bat weight on the ball. So that way, when you get up there to face the 100-mile-an-hour fastball, you take the bat weight off and your bat speed is quicker. Or the bat, the same 32-ounce bat, feels like it's 22 ounces, right? But typically what happens with a baseball swing, if that first pitch that's thrown is a changeup, it's pretty positive if you make contact, you're going to pull it foul. Or you're going to be way out in front of it and miss it, right?
And break your rib.
Taryn, yes, I am left-handed. The only thing I can really do righty is that. And that's really it.
You remember it because he probably pointed at nothing left-handed.
That's true. Why don't
How about your friend taking over the show already? First time here and
that's great.
All the
that's
glories.
Great.
Oh, I'm not against it.
Hell no.
It spawned a fantastic conversations. I'm curious about to try to do some testing of 14 or 15 pounds and see if I could throw it better or have. I mean, I'm sure we're gonna have different results.
You should certainly try it. Certainly try it. I mean, even if you want, what was I finishing up with there? So the bat weight comment. This is the only problem that you'll run into. Typically, when you drop down in weight, now your body is so used to 15, and if you're going from 16 to 14, that's even crazier than 15 to 14. Because the biggest separations in ball weight, when you go from 13 to 14, that's a huge separation. When you go from 14 to 15, that's a huge separation. It's way bigger than going from like a 6 to an 8 to a 10 to an 11.
Right.
But just remember that initially when you're throwing 14, it's going to feel like you're throwing a softball. It's going to feel so light in your hand. You're going to feel like it's going to be nearly impossible to not yank it because the ball is going to want to come down from the top of your swing so much faster than you're used to. So either quiet down your legs or like subconsciously say, hey, look, if I know my backswing is head high, I'm going to make sure I try and keep it shoulder high for these first few shots just to get used to it.
Yeah.
So it's shit like that you have to be, if you're aware of what the tendencies are when you switch the weight, that can help you or inhibit you, one or the other.
Well, I have a Pete Weber.
Steph's another one that went to 14. I forgot. We just talked about that too. What's up, Johnny?
I have a Pete Weber high backswing with about 30 less revs. 300 less revs. So,
300 more pounds.
Do you have a Pete Weber backswing like now or 30 years ago?
It hasn't changed. It's super high.
What?
Yeah.
No, his has.
Oh, his hat? No,
is your backswing like Pete Weber's now, or is it when it was way above his head?
Is still pretty high now, though, too, because he has that. He has that kind of down too, I think.
Old school Pete Weber. Like, can't get any fucking higher unless I lose the ball in my backswing. So,
well, just throw it overhand and just have it flick over behind your head.
Is that legal, by the way?
What?
If the ball goes down the lane, it goes down the lane.
I was reading if we had a spot for
throwing it overhand
on the show. You know what? In this day and age, you never know. You never, ever.
Get her a link, Rob.
Yeah, get her a link, Rob.
Get her in for 5 minutes. Talk about home run at the end of the show, not now.
Or we'll set up something for next week.
No. Right now, next week, and then at the end of the show.
Johnny Sperone, good evening, sir. My good friend John, welcome. She's gained.
We'll talk. We will get you on. I promise.
Oh, will she not shut up though? Is she one of those yakety act like that?
She was one of my favorite people in high school, so she can talk as much as she wants. I don't give a shit.
All right.
So what's next?
Is she unfettered? Is she unfettered? That's what I want to know.
If her and I were close friends in high school, do you think that she's a bump on a log, or do you think she's got kind of a good personality and she's kind of awesome?
We have a guest now. She better have her best mask on though, or else she's not allowed on the show.
What do you got next for us, Rob?
I don't know if you can read it.
Back-to-back Masters.
Oh, yeah. How about the legend in the making and slowly but surely making this most likely will go to undoubtedly go down as one of the tightest player of the year races in the history of our sport when it's all said and done.
Correct.
Jeff, is my dad bowling the PBA 50 Florida swing? If so, are you making the trip? I do not know if my dad is going to Florida. He's 76 now, and he's finally gotten to the point that he's starting to accept that his body's not allowing him to do what it needs to do in order to not only just compete, but, my dad doesn't fly. So it's a day or so in the car, both directions, and then he's got to figure out a way to bowl all those games. He has just a hard time these days. So I think he's trying to keep it more local, but you never know. He loves the villages. So
I was just going to say, didn't he set a record there? Didn't he not too long? I mean, maybe about 8 years ago or something.
Yeah, he led he broke the scoring record, or he led at the senior U.S. Open. It was an insurmountable, just on an absolutely insane amount of pins that he led. It was incredible. So I think that there is a chance he may pop down to Florida if something's in the villages. Me personally, I can't get there. I took way too many vacations in March, and I'm going to Death Valley for Easter this weekend. So it's not in the cards this year. But I am going to try and at least get home a few times. And if there's anything somewhat local in New Jersey, New York area that he goes to bowl, I'll go watch that. But hopefully he makes it down to Florida. Could I have taken any longer to answer that simple fucking question? How about I just say this? No, Jeff, I'm not sure, but I won't be there. I'm sorry I won't get to see you.
Good politician. No, but you had to talk about the villages because I was going to bring it up anyway. It's fine.
Okay.
So you're going to Death Valley to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ. There's something poignant in that whole thing.
Yeah, it seems, now that I say it, it seems a little bit strange. Kevin Beers made it before our closing statements. Yes.
Kevin, let's go.
Yes,
LFG,
we're not done
brother.
yet, and he's here. This is great.
Fuck yeah, let's fucking
cool.
go.
Wow, I didn't even realize that Taryn lives by the villages. How cool. Oh, and Jeff, yeah, thank you.
I knew that.
And Roland, thank you for the kind words. Simo. Let's just get one thing straight. If you honestly don't think that Simo is one of the best bowlers that's ever walked this planet,
the dude could win. The dude could sweep.
Good.
He could win every title. He could win every tournament in a season. Like, that's how good he is.
He could.
Dude, he is 26 years old.
Does he have 10 titles now already?
He's got more than that, and he's got 3 Masters and 2 of them back-to-back to join only 3 other players in the history of the sport to have done it. And he did it so fucking relaxed and calm the entire way. He never batted an eyelash. He never. Yeah. He punched his hand one time after he shot that 300 to shoot 845 in the match to get
the number 1 seed, dude. 845.
And Michael Martell in that match shot 690. He beats everybody else in the field. To lose by 150 pins with a 690 on the Masters pattern for the title match to make your first show. And Anthony's just like, here we go. I'm going to use a couple different balls here and there, blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay, now I'm going to make it to television. And you think, now, let's talk about the TV show.
Yeah.
Love that for once they got something right. The champion, the leader, the tournament leader had to be beaten twice.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God. For once, the guy who did the most work didn't have to lose the least to not win. It was so nice to see. But unfortunately, who the hell is going to beat Anthony Simonson 2 consecutive games on television, let alone a first-time telecaster in Michael Martell?
Yeah.
Who the hell is going to beat Anthony Simonson 2 times in a row on TV? I just don't see it happening. He is a man playing with boys, dude. And it just so happens, it's like, I'm trying to think of another golden era in sports where the greatest player we've ever seen just happens to not be the greatest player because the greatest player we've ever seen is playing in the same generation.
Right.
You know what I mean when I say that?
Yeah.
Like, I guess you can say, like, would Magic Johnson have been noted as one of the best ever if he didn't play in the same era as Jordan? Or I think, like, you know, how many more titles would my dad have won if Earl Anthony decided not to bowl the tour for 10 years?
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. That's the kind
true. That's the best example right there, Jordan. Really.
Exactly. Like,
hey, JJ.
I'm trying to think, like, even if it was, I don't know, Bonds and McGuire, but fuck the steroids and all that shit. But I'm just talking about like the amount of home runs they hit or things along those guys. JJ, what's up? It's crazy to believe that a talent like Anthony Simonson isn't the best bowler that's
actually
ever,
we got one. Lemieux. We got one. Lemieux, because Lemieux, who probably scored, I think he scored more points in less games than Gretzky did, but Gretzky had better teammates and better longevity and no health issues. So now, and they're both they're Lemieux could very well be better than Gretzky. He's just not on the stat sheet.
There you go. It's exactly what we're trying to address here. It's a great example.
I honestly think that Oilers team was better than the Penguins. I mean, it just the talent that Gretzky had around him, with
that's
Curry
what I'm saying. But that's no players. But the player, right? Yeah. Yari Curry, freaking Glenn Anderson, freaking Craig McTavish. They had Grant Fuhr in goal. You get Tom Barrasso and
Fuhr was so good.
I mean, the Penguins had some, they wound up getting Brian Trottier. They got, they had not Gretzky. They had Lemieux. They had Yager. We're not doing hockey.
Anyway,
that's not the point.
But no, I understand what Johnny's saying is like Belmo is still fucking great. Like, let's not take anything away from him, even though he kind of collapsed.
Still great. He's the best. He is the best bowler in the world. It's just that there's a best bowler in the world that is in the shadows right now.
I don't even honestly, in my opinion, I think Simo's already there. I think at this point in his career, I think he is better than Jason Belmonte.
He'll get there.
People are going to hate that, but that's my opinion.
Is 13 years younger than Jason Belmonte, and he's already won 1/3 of the majors that Belmo owns. He's got 5 majors now, Anthony. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he's got 5 majors, right? He's got 3 Masters titles, a U.S. Open.
5 to 7?
No, not 5 to 7. He's got 5.
He was doing like a 6 to 8 thing.
There's no such thing as he's got 5 to 7. I have like maybe 1 or 2 cashes in a major. Like there is no. He has 5.
I struck out 11 batters in 6 innings in the 10-year-old All-Stars. It was definitely 11.
11, 14,
11 to 15, but it was 11.
But so when you look at statistics, right? 11 titles. He's 26 years old. He won his first one when he was 18. So he's averaging what? In 8 years, he's going to win 10 titles. So if you put him at 39 years old, as opposed to 26, that's 13 more years. So give him 15 more titles. And let's say 7 more are majors. He's still 3 behind Belmo in majors.
Oh, yeah. No,
and still 10 behind him in wins.
Yeah.
That is how great. This is like comparing Tiger Woods to any other golfer. It doesn't matter how many tournaments in a row that who's the guy that jumps off the ground with both feet that's kicking everybody's ass? Scotty Scheffler. It doesn't matter how much Scotty Scheffler or Rory McIlroy or anybody else wins on the PGA Tour. Because nobody's ever going to break the records that Tiger broke.
Plus, and when they win, and there's a group that wins, whereas Tiger won. If he was leading in the final round, he won because he had already mentally defeated everybody else too. I don't think that Scheffler has that mental edge on everybody else because Jordan Spieth still wins. Justin Thomas still wins, and they should. And Brooks Koepka and the other dude that he hates, but it's a fun revolving door too, and that's the way it should be, really.
Totally.
But when somebody is that dominant, maybe Tiger wasn't able because Mickelson would have been he wasn't the best golfer because Tiger was outshining Mickelson at the time also.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyways,
what Valenta just said is great, and this is coming from a former touring pro. He says a lot when Belmo already said that Simo can be better than him. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, every generation's best will always look at somebody behind them and let them know or know who's eventually going to be. My dad used to do the same thing. My dad signed Parker Bone III's contract for Brunswick. He's the one that told Brunswick to sign Parker back in 1986 or whatever year it was. And other than my dad, Parker has been the longest tenured Brunswick staff member for all these years. And my dad told me after Parker won his second title, he said, John, there's not even a comparison. He goes, this guy not only is going to beat my 14 national and 8 senior, this guy is going to win so many fucking more titles. Now he is so much better. He's light years ahead of me. Do you realize how accurate he is when we take him to the Brunswick plan and how much he really misses when he misses and this and that. And like that, the best in the world have no problem passing the torch to the future of the sport.
Right.
And Belmo, class act that he is, anybody that watches Simonson Bowl.
So Jason just mentioned something. Jason just mentioned something that I was going to interject with about the unknown. Is we truly don't know the mechanics. We don't know the longevity mechanics. We've discussed it. I didn't mean to cut you off, but like that's the only factor that could possibly derail anything.
Especially how low Simo gets to the ground.
He gets a lot lower, and maybe it won't, but again, you're using such different muscles with the two-hander because you're using your lats, at this point, because you have trunk rotation. You have to. You're using your rhomboids, stuff you don't use. And I don't know if it's the problem is I don't know if it's more symmetrical or asymmetrical. I feel like it's more symmetrical because you're rotating your body in unison rather than having the weight only on one side. So it could be a plus or it could be a minus. We simply don't know yet. We've discussed this, I think, two other times about mechanically. What will be other muscles that hurt? No wrist issue because you're supported with two hands. We don't think, but that's the unknown. So that's the part we're going to see in the future.
Well, to feed off what you're saying, it's already happened with Belmo. If you go back and watch 2008, 2009 Belmo compared to now,
is he more upright now?
It's not so much that he's more upright now, but he's way less violent. And what I mean by that is there's way less moving parts. Everything is more in control. Everything is more stable. I don't really foresee any issues happening with Belmo's game. I don't really see anything happening with Osku's game because let's be honest, those guys are both in excellent shape. They take care of themselves physically. Anthony does too. I'm not saying Anthony doesn't. Belmo and Osku really, really take care of themselves physically. And again, there's not a lot going on in their game. I know it looks funky with the second hand on the ball, and we do use a little bit more, laterals, rhomboids, tricep. There's a lot of different parts that are being used. I get all that. What worries me about Anthony is because of what happened to me when I punctured my spine 11 millimeters with that disc, and I hit that nerve, and I was down
out of nowhere.
Anthony is so this way. And what's crazy, what makes it crazy to me how good Anthony is he is literally parallel to the floor from the waist up and somehow figures out a way to get his arms from the top of his backswing and still follow through at this angle with his back.
Yeah.
I worry one day that Simo's going to wake up when he's 35 and he's going to do that lunge forward and he ain't going to be able to pop back up.
What I can tell you is when weight is away from your body and you're in that position, it's the worst position to be in. Think about this. Mothers picking up their baby out of a crib is, besides the rotation, kind of similar to where he's at. They're parallel to the base of the crib, and they're picking up their baby, and they hurt their backs that way. Again, that's odds and ends, but that's literally when you're in your most vulnerable state mechanically.
Absolutely.
But he's now done it so many times that he's also reinforced those muscles, or at least has a trainer that has him doing core strength, standing on a Bosu, or doing the physio ball. He has to, or else he wouldn't be able to throw 50-something games and then get on the last of match play throw 845.
But that would be such a drastic change for him to kind of change that motion, whereas a guy like Parker or your dad who doesn't, they can't bend their knee as far as they used to. They can adapt easier because it's not that big of a change.
It's not much different, right?
And they might loft the ball a little bit more, but his style is so particular to his position at the foul line. I don't know how he can adjust from that very easily. I'm sure he could, but it's going to take him a long time.
I'm sure the natural course of time, just like everything else happens to everybody as they get older. We've talked about alcohol. Remember when you used to be able to drink alcohol 3 or 4 days a week for 7 hours a day, and the only thing you had to do the next day to cure your hangover was have another drink?
Sure.
And then one day you woke up and you're like, okay, I'm going to go out and drink on a Tuesday night at bowling. But I know if I do, I'm not going to be operative until Friday morning. Because all of a sudden now my body needs 2 entire fucking days of doing nothing just to be operating the way it did on Monday before I drank.
Yeah.
I didn't just wake up and decide that that's how I wanted my life to go. but it's what made me stop drinking alcohol 4 days a week.
True.
Because I was fucking dying. I couldn't rehydrate myself enough anymore because everything slows down as we get older.
Right.
And just like that and everything else, my game has changed without me even realizing it. I used to be, everybody always used to say, oh my God, John, you're so beautiful. You get so low at the line. You got this beautiful knee bend. I started looking at videos of myself. I'm like, shit, I feel like I'm getting down at the line and I'm like almost upright now. I really have to make a conscious effort to bend at the foul line from my knees the way it was just second nature.
So what I'm going to say though is he's probably doing subtle things that we can't even see yet too. There could be, and that's why in the course of watching him from 2018 to maybe 2030, we'll see the difference. But he may make little subtle changes along the way that, it's like I don't know, when you do lose weight, you see yourself every day. You don't notice it. And then after 6 months, you're like, oh, check out this picture of me. Same thing with him. We'll see in 15 years, he may have made little subtle changes to protect himself or just for his own mechanical reason. Maybe he just bowls better that way. So it's going to be an interesting path to follow, really, because I'm sure he's aware of wanting to stay in this game for a long time. So
let me ask you this, Johnny. Is there anybody currently on the tour that you would be afraid of, let's just say 20 years from now, like, wow, I don't know if they can sustain it that long? Anybody has any styles in particular? Like, I don't know. What's his name? Jesus. God damn it, Ocho.
What happened?
Smallwood throws it weird.
Ranger goal.
Smallwood throws it weird. Butcher throws it kind of different. Like, is his hand gonna be fucked up if he keeps bowling like that for 20 more years? I mean, obviously we don't know, but is there anybody in the tour that you can worry about, say 20 years from now? Like, man, I don't know if that style can hold up.
The less you do, the more you'll stand the test of time. Is a reason why Norm Duke and P. Weber, and Brian Voss, and Danny Wiseman and guys like that, they can bowl their entire careers because everything is where it's supposed to be.
Right.
There are other guys who have had short stints, but again, the game has changed so much that there really isn't anything that's right anymore. It's
true.
If I really had to pick who I thought was going to have a problem later on in their career, I would have thought it was somebody like Amleto Monticelli. I would have figured, opening up that rotator cuff and snapping and whipping the elbow and all that other crazy shit that he did, I'd have thought his career was over.
God,
but when you go watch Amleto Monticelli in 1990, and then you go watch Amleto Monticelli in 2005, just like everybody else, less violent, more gentle.
Yeah.
P. Weber dropped the backswing. So as time goes on, these guys are going to figure out how to handle their own games. As far as the longevity for two-handers, I don't think it's a problem. Walter A. Williams Jr. experiments two-handed, and he's 60.
True.
So, and again, you're not doing anything insanely different than what you would do with one hand. It's just the addition of a stable arm. So, again, like BV said, like we said, the person who worries me the most for longevity purposes from what I've seen is Anthony or Spencer Robarge. Guys that are really, really violent and put a lot of torque and a lot of extra emphasis on their lower back. That's the part that worries me. So, like JJ said earlier, functional training is a necessity. We're all into fitness here. If he's using that much work on it, hey, Rob lost, what was it, 100 pounds or whatever it was? Come on,
I did, but I found it again. So
it doesn't matter. I give fucking props to anybody that can do that. But what I'm trying to get at is, if you're talking about functional training, if you're going to have that much torque on your back, you need to make sure you take care of your front. So Anthony must make sure as time goes on that he takes care of the tummy, because that's going to stabilize the back. If you're too strong on one side and not strong enough on the other, and you're always going this way, eventually this becomes harder to do. It's just the nature of the beast.
He must have a trainer that does that. Like I'm saying, he's got to be on a Bosu or on a physio ball. He's got to be somehow.
That's the second time you've said Bosu. Should I know what that's supposed to be?
The Bosu is the half a freaking ball that you stand on. You know.
I thought it was like the bite-sized ice creams.
Oh, well, those are mini Klondikes, I think. I don't know. Those are bonbons.
Always watch your front.
Yeah, and she also said that makes sense. So like she bowled a 76, so she knows her shit.
She's been sitting here on a bowling podcast for 50 minutes. I mean, that's
true.
pretty bad. We must be doing something right.
Yeah.
Somebody
We're doing
first
this.
off, Frank, good to see you. Jeff, I don't want to disagree with Jeff because I love him so much, but
Where's
I
Jeff?
don't.
We all do.
Jeff,
No.
he's the best.
Great.
I don't think Anthony is really that violent. I think that he's got that crazy high backswing and he's got fast feet, but I think his game is easier to calm down as he gets older. So yes, it is violent. I will say that. How are you, Jerry? It is violent in that respect. I will say that. But somebody said over here that Jason brought up a good point in the chat, and I didn't know. Good job, Johnny Sparrow. Yes. Can you find what Jason wrote? Because somebody said it was a good point, and I just want to say it. If the PBA was 30-plus tournaments a year like the old days, then Belmo and Simo could be leading the titles. Now it's barely 14 weeks of the tour, but Belmo's winning as many as he has is impressive. 100% true, Jason. That is spot-on comment. Totally.
What happened to him, by the way? He was crushing it after qualifying. They cleaned the slate, and then what happened to him?
Who, Belmo?
Yeah.
He made it pretty far. I mean, he lost to Parker. Parker's the one that knocked him out of the Masters, which I know is fucking awesome.
That's definitely
And it was he only shot like 540 something I saw in the series.
Definitely
Not
something Parker
Belmo.
can rib him over the next couple of years. So,
as far as violence and longevity, I hope I'm wrong, but I do worry about the guys who engage a lot of the lower back and bend really, really at the waist. So the guys whose games like that. I mean, Wes Malott. Wes Malott's a prime example because he was a guy that was always a little bit bigger. And let's be honest, there's not a lot of tall bowlers that are really, really, really good. Typically, the shorter you are in bowling, you're just a little bit better. Yeah. And I'm not just saying that. Just go look at history. It's very rare to see guys like Randy Peterson, Mika Koivuniemi, Wes Malott. They're big guys. So Wes always bent at the waist, and Wes has been fighting some serious health or physical issues as he's been going on. Steve Cook can barely walk these days. It's such a fucking sin, but he doesn't bowl hardly at all anymore.
Yeah.
So I worry about the bigger guys who have a lot of bend at the waist. Steve Cook bent immensely at the waist when he was bowling. Wes Malott, immensely at the waist. So it's functional training. It's taking care and watching your front, and it's trying to take a little bit less stress. The lower back is always going to be the thing that worries me the most. I'm always going to be worried about the guys who engage too much of that section and not enough leg. So as far as EJ Tackett, Brian, he's another guy that his game is so pure, even though it's somewhat violent and aggressive. EJ
it looks effortless, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, he's got so much in such a tiny little frame that I don't think that he's going to have any problems whatsoever. He just kind of looks like a Pete Weber, just in like fast speed. It's awesome.
Like 200 more revs.
It's up there.
Predictions: will Simo end up being the winningest ever? What do you think, Johnny? If he stays healthy, if things stay the way they are, just fantasy booking, do you think he could do it?
I think the winningest ever. Well, this goes back to the comment that was made by Jason where the shortened PBA seasons. If the PBA lasts for another 20 seasons, so Simo can be out there until he's 46, 47 years old, it all, I guess, kind of depends on what Belmo does with the next 10 years of his life on tour.
That is true. How long does Belmo hang around for, and how productive is he?
Exactly right. That's the only thing that worries me about Simo being the winning. But do I think he has the tools? Do I think he has the talent? Do I think he is the person that's supposed to be the winningest? Hands down. You can't shut him out.
Right.
He can play and you can't shut him out at all because he can play both sides of the lane. He could throw it fucking lefty if he wants to. Backup lefty. You can't shut the kid out. And what I love the most about Simo, and this is something that a lot of people trash talk on social media about, and I want to make this a point while we have it here. Everybody always wants to break Simo's chops that, you fucking make television and you're throwing a ball that's 8 years old.
Yeah. Hold on.
Guys, good. It's not that bad.
Unfettered alert.
It's not that bad. This is not like it was in 1995 when, if like, let's say you made a TV show at the Players Championship and the brand new ball was the Brunswick Speed Zone. Brunswick would come up to you and say, if you wear the Speed Zone shirt and throw a Speed Zone on the television show, we'll give you $10,000. If you win wearing that shirt and that ball, we'll give you $25,000. You bet your ass I'm going to be on that truck and I'm going to drill 15 motherfucking Speed Zones on Friday night before the TV show on Saturday. And I don't care if I got to scuff it, drill through the pin, put an extra hole in it, shove my fucking whatever you want inside. Whatever I got to do, I'm going to find a
We know where he was
zone
going.
that rolls the way that my Purple Rhino Pro rolled for the last 42 games that I bowled. Because even if I lose the tournament now I make more than the tournament winner. Okay. And if I win, shit, it's a double payday. Hands down. Incentive money, number one, is not like it used to be. The incentives, when you make it to television, is not like it was. If they
in
do pay
1987, the guy who won the U.S. Open won $100,000 in 1987.
Right. So what I'm saying here is, where the fuck was I going with that? You see, I can't.
Your bowling ball. You're going to win with the bowling ball, lose with the bowling ball.
So now you're on TV, and Simo's got a game, and if he wins, it's $100,000, and second place is $50,000. Simo wants to win. His only goal is to win. Simo wants to be the best bowler in the world. He's vocal about it. He wants the entire world to remember his name. He has high hopes for a living. That's why it's his theme song. He is a business entrepreneur. He is a 26-year-old kid setting up his 60 and 70-year-old years right now. He's doing what most people don't do. He's getting ready for his future and building all the blocks that he has to do now. And one of those things is by winning $100,000 checks when he makes TV.
Yep.
I don't give a fuck if Simo wants to throw a ball that's still in the box down the lane. He let him throw whatever the fuck he wants. It doesn't matter. His only goal is to win. It's not to say, hey, I got 30 minutes of airtime. Let me show the infinite physics to the 900,000 people that tuned into FS1 for the last 30 minutes of this show because NASCAR was on for the first 30. He's not thinking that way. There's enough social media outreach. You can now get any information you want to everybody in the snap of a finger. I promise you, Anthony still does his ball reviews. He still is at the Storm headquarters drilling up everything new.
Yep.
But if Anthony wants to throw an idol on one lane and a gem on the other lane, I don't give a shit that the idol is 8 years old. You may not be able to find it, but you can still find other balls with the name idol on them. And you could find balls that have very similar makeups that are still in the same category. So I just don't like when people go out of their way to say something idiotic like, yeah, fucking Simo can't even win with a ball that like is available to the public. Who the fuck are you, dude?
He doesn't have to. That's the thing.
Exactly. And, dude, if I made a TV show, I'm telling you right now, the first ball that's in my bag when I walk onto that TV set is a rubber LT.
That's right.
150%. I would be the first asshole in 50 years to throw a rubber LT on television. Hands down. And I would tell them they should pay me $10,000 for that.
That's true. Congrats to Kyle Sherman. Shout out to him for bowling phenomenally during the week.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very well on TV. Unfortunately, he didn't go all the way, but he would have got shut down by Simo anyway. But
he had to play different. He played pretty far inside during the tournament, and then at match play he was almost straight up 5. We're swinging it out. I don't want to say straight up 5, but he
was swinging it out to the dry boards. I mean,
a little
for
bit,
sure.
but yeah, he was. It was definitely. It was a total. Which again, it's like.
And Randy was surprised that he was doing that
without us seeing. This is part of the broadcast that they should be able to. They'd have to do that just because these guys are so good. They make it look easy. That's the other issue. So if they would show him playing deep inside, for 5 matches of best of 3. And then now showing him playing a different line, like that kind of go, oh, wow, the guy can, that's got to be hard to do, at least for even maybe the basic fan. But they don't say anything about it. I didn't know until I watched this vlog there on the YouTubes that showed it.
How cool is it that, Kyle and Packy, 2 of the biggest YouTube bowling shows have bowled well.
Besides us.
Back to back, of course, besides us. But no, I mean, I like Kyle. Obviously, he was injured for a while, had to take a lot of time off. But I love listening to his insight, and Brad Miller as well. But I enjoyed watching Kyle. I thought he was determined. I thought he was smooth. I thought he was very calm.
I was just going to say that calm too.
Yeah,
keeping them emotions in check, man.
Yep.
Like
that is the word. And he looked confident and calm and confident.
Yeah.
And he executed he threw some beautiful, beautiful shots.
Shot 279 on TV. I mean, come on.
Didn't miss the pocket. And then it just looked like it broke.
He had
down
no problem changing balls out of nowhere.
Yep.
There was no perspiration whatsoever. The kid just looked confident. It was awesome. I couldn't agree more. I'm glad you threw him up there. By the way, I gotta go soon. I got a gym date with my boy that I'm training, and I gotta get in the shower.
Ocho.
So
Yeah, you guys were hanging out tonight.
Are we doing an imbecile of the week?
Yes, we are.
This week?
You ready to jump into it?
Excellent. Yeah, let's pull it up. Come on.
Here we go.
I love shitting on people randomly. It's so bad.
Everybody's favorite segment.
If you guys don't know how to use a seatbelt, just ring your call button and Tommy will come back there and hit you on the head with a tack hammer.
You know, Lloyd, just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber.
Here's the imbecile of the week.
Some people are really stupid.
All right, this week's imbecile of the week comes from a suggestion that we had on Twitter. It is Vincent Saputo, who was tweeting like a motherfucker after Simo won. So for those of you that are listening on this and aren't watching the live video, what the hell's wrong with you?
I certainly will.
He said, two-handed cheater at it again. 3 days later, two-handed cheater.
Oh, wait, time out. Is it on the screen and I just can't see it again?
You can't see it.
So do I have to do this so you can see me?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm sitting here even though I'm not looking at anything. I've exited full screen.
See you a little bit.
And I just want to let you know there's nothing on my screen.
So you're pointing at nothing, technically. Again.
I don't know what's wrong with your...
I'm going to take another picture for you right now.
Stay right there. You're centered. Oh, now you're too...
Okay? Just want to show you what I see so you know I'm not fucking nuts.
Hey, should we tell your friend that there's a chance she might fall in love with me if she gets on the show? Like, should we give her that disclaimer and send her the waiver? There's nothing on there.
You can send her.
Well, we have it from the corporate office that we can send. Like, hey, we understand you may fall in love with Ocho.
We got the official letterhead and everything.
Yeah,
so,
and this way, and she can e-sign it, but just if she's okay with that.
Deal.
This was actually after Belmo won, not Simo. I'm sorry. Two-handed cheater. PBA is so blind to see that two-handed has a cheating advantage and it's killing the sport. Only one person liked that tweet, so I want to find.
It was probably him,
right? I want to find that asshole that liked this tweet. He said, "Fuck you, two-handed cheater should be banned." So this guy's going on a tirade over like a week period. Anything can happen, including two-handed cheaters winning it. And he's he's tweeting this to @PBA Tour the entire time, who are probably laughing their balls off.
And no engagements whatsoever, right? Like nothing.
No engagements at all.
That's perfect. That's even better.
And this came from Max Hunter @Packer for Life on Twitter. Thank you, Max, for sending in that suggestion. He said, "Here's a nomination for your next imbecile of the week." This guy, Johnny, we've had guys like this, on the show before, showing posts from various Facebook groups or whatever. Why do people get so fucking bent out of shape? It's because they just can't do it and they're jealous? Like, what goes through these people's minds to just go on a fucking tirade about two-handers on Twitter? I don't get it.
It's the same reason people go off on political rants that have no
Exactly.
merit. It's like,
The problem is nowadays is one of the biggest blessings of our generation in the internet and social media. It's also one of the biggest pieces, like the worst things that's happened, because now everybody, including assholes and imbeciles, have a voice that's heard.
True.
I don't know this guy from a hole in the wall. And I don't.
He might be a
First
hole in
off,
the
I've
wall.
never really understood. I've never really understood why anybody goes out of their way to talk shit about something that they either know nothing about or they just simply can't do. I've never been a fan of that. When I played baseball, I admired the baseball players that were better than me.
Yeah.
While I bowl, I admire the bowlers that are better than me. When I go weightlifting in the gym, I want to be around the guys like Jay Cutler and Regan Grimes because I want to learn. I want to watch what they're doing so I can get to be that big or I can get to be that cut.
Right.
I have never ever once walked into a gym and said, yeah, it's because he's on fucking steroids, fucking lunatic asshole, fucking with his own life and this and that. You know what, dude? If you want to be a competitive bodybuilder, you have to be on steroids. Yep. Sorry. There's nobody that is on an Olympia stage is on there without steroids.
The human frame does not grow that way.
Right.
Exactly. A human body doesn't look like that naturally, especially when you're in your 30s and 40s and 50s. Right. It just doesn't happen, right? But I would never ever walk past Reagan Grimes or Jay Cutler or Ronnie Coleman and say, look at that fucking lunatic.
Well, the problem is,
this body doesn't even look
even
good.
on the juice, you still got to put the work in. You could sit there and juice all you want. If you don't hit any weights, you ain't gonna grow. You ain't gonna do anything.
Exactly.
Look at me.
If you guys know, if you inject steroids and all you do is everything you normally do, you're just gonna get fat, right? You still have to have your diet 100% in check, your training routine absolutely in check. Like, I don't get it. But,
I don't understand why people think two-handed bowling is cheating. Steroids in baseball or whatever is one thing, but like,
it's closed-minded people.
It's not illegal.
It's not. It's being closed. Listen to me. I'm going to ask you a dead honest question right now. If you like Donald Trump, do you like anything about Joe Biden? No. If you like Joe Biden, do you like anything about Donald Trump? No matter what. If Donald Trump sent your daughter $25,000 and said, hey, I went to your school and saw that really nice project that you put up on the wall. Here's $25,000 to help you for college. If that parent's a Biden supporter, he'll probably send Trump the $25,000 back.
True.
Because they take it and say they never got it.
Because that is what I mean when I say people are closed.
No, exactly.
This asshole,
like Cubs fans, throwing a baseball back when
doesn't like two-handed bowling. Yeah. So for the rest of his life, no matter how much the world continues to change, he's going to hate two-handed bowlers. You're never going to do anything to change Vincent's mind or any other closed-minded individual like this guy.
Or any asshole like this guy.
Right.
You basically have to wait for everybody to die, and then it's going to be 70 years from now when two-handers are like a thing of the norm, and no one ever remembers one-handers. What are those one-handed idiots doing? What are those idiot one-handers doing?
Does that comment from Taryn make you understand who she is?
Yes. Yeah. No.
Okay. Good.
She's talking about me.
Yeah, so
because I do that, by the way. That's why she's.
And anyway, I like Belmo's response. Is this the one with the?
No, that was a different asshole. That was last week.
Oh, that was last week.
When he's holding he's holding all his trophies.
Oh, and that's the other thing is people always go after the best.
True.
Always.
Well, punching up is still the smart way to go, but
yeah, but publicity, any kind in any form, is good.
Well, this guy gets it. Vincent Saputo, you are the imbecile of the week. Enjoy your award.
Vincent. Enjoy your award.
Let all your friends know, cocksucker.
We'll let him know. Wait, he has no friends. What are we talking about?
He doesn't have any friends. So moving on, as we wrap it up here, Johnny, we got the World Series of Bowling starting in a couple days here as we record this. What are you looking forward to most?
I want to see Belmo actually go on a tear because I wanted to tighten up the Player of the Year race. Right. Because Belmo, EJ, and Anthony have won the 3 majors to start the season. Belmo's been lagging behind in cashes, TV appearances, but Belmo could go and win 4 titles at the World Series. We've seen him win 3 before.
That's true.
So I would like to see him catch up because to have those 3 fighting it out for Player of the Year and already having those 3 for the mega event at the end where all the major title winners are combined is going to make for another great show. I would really, really like to see Belmo go on a tear this week. Right. Other than that, at the World Series, I would like to maybe see some different faces. I hope that, I'd like to see Jake Peters just go on an absolute tear and win 2 titles at the World Series. I feel like he's won in Wisconsin. That's why I just brought up his name. Plus, Jake's one of the best guys ever. So those are the guys I'm rooting for. If Brandon Bone is bowling again, I want to see Brandon Bone make a show.
Agreed.
I mean, I think the world needs to see that kid.
And I will give Randy Peterson credit. He said, the Bone kids are the future of the sport. I mean, he really knocked it out of the park. I mean, he's very confident. Coming from a guy like him, that's a big compliment. I mean, say what you want about his his skills, on the mic.
Who's that redhead that made the 710 last year?
Anthony Nyer.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's see him again. He's kind of a Brandon Bone kind of thrower, right? Like, ish, no?
Yeah, just not nearly as fierce. Or, I mean, Anthony's an established, fantastic player for sure, but watching Brandon is just like, God, man, he's so young and so awesome. It just fucking throws flames, man. It's so fun to watch.
I want to see our buddy Marshall Kent go on a fucking tear as well.
Yeah, I want to see him get out of his own head and start throwing him when he needs him, and he'll be the first to admit it also.
And Ryan Simonelli as well.
There.
Like Ryan
he
just
gets
kind
there,
of.
but okay, yeah.
Sorry, Ocho.
No,
Ryan
you're good because that's same thing. Same thing I was thinking. Like they
Ryan's
get
so
there.
good, but I mean, I don't know where he's at mentally or right now because
Sim's a tricky one for me because again, we were talking about the personalities of people. Simonelli was the guy that started the urethane craze. Yeah. He was the guy that fucking started that shit when he bombed him at the World Series throwing that natural about 11 years ago. And now he like kind of refuses to throw urethane.
Really?
I don't know why, but every time I see him, he seems to be struggling and he's trying to flame resin balls in the spot where it seems like if he just threw it his regular speed and hit it, that urethane would work. And he made most of his dollars on tour doing that. So it's kind of, he's a tricky one for me.
Do you think he's trying to do
it? Quit the tour, he came back. He loved urethane. He doesn't use urethane. It's kind of like, and he's my age. Right. So it's like, I think he's kind of like torn between two worlds right now, and he's still trying to figure it out.
Do you think he didn't want to be known as the guy that only could do it out of urethane, just burning up the oil? Like,
I don't really know, man. I don't actually know the answer to that. I think that maybe he doesn't like to, walk in line with the rest of the ants.
I'd like to get him on the show just to kind of ask him.
Well, that would be. He certainly speaks his mind. That's another good guy to have on here for sure.
Yeah. Okay, just wondering. But yeah, the World Series is always fun. Several different events. You got the cheetah, you got the shark, you got all the different pattern tournaments. So I'm looking forward to all the festivities that are coming up here next. What is it, like a week and a half or 2 week thing that's going on? It's
yeah.
But yeah, Johnny's got to go. So I'm not going to speak anymore because I could be here all night. Ocho, what's your Twitter handle?
I don't know. It's whatever that Taryn chick thinks it is.
At the Dr Ocho.
That's what she
thinks.
I'm
at JPJR07.
And I am at Rad Rob Gaming. We appreciate everybody watching here. We love all of our loyal listeners and watchers. Ocho's guns are always looking fantastic. And we'll see you next week for another edition of Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. Good night, everybody.
Thanks for listening to this edition of Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. You can follow the show on Twitter at Straight Up 5 Pod. Follow Johnny Jr. at JPJR07. Follow Rad Rob at Rad Rob Gaming. And follow Dr. Ocho at the Dr. Ocho. Got a question for Johnny? Send your questions to straightup5podcast@gmail.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. Right here on the Rad Rob Radio Network.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.